What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today, well, this weekend was a little bit slow, at least in my opinion, so there are only 2 reviews this week. I talked about the big one yesterday. Time to talk about the other one this weekend, and I am talking about the latest offering from Sanguisugabogg, Hideous Aftermath. Also came out on October 10th, this time on Century Media Records. This is the band's 3rd studio full-length overall. I checked out their last one, I believe it was Homicidal Ecstasy, I believe was the title. And I thought it was a good album, though I felt it was a little bit of a one-trick pony, but they play that trick pretty damn well. For those who don't know, Columbus, Ohio, death metal / brutal death metal / slam hardcore. Kind of like a hodgepodge of all that stuff wrapped up into one. And, of course, Ohio bands, so I'm always going to be on the lookout for some bands from my home state. And this is one of those that has kind of blown up over the past couple of years. Like, ever since they went from Maggot Stomp to Century Media, it's like they've been gradually working their way up the ladder in terms of sales, as well as getting tour offers and festival shows and all that stuff. And here we are with album number 3. So I will admit, this one actually I think is better than the last one. Kicking things off with Rotted Entanglement, you immediately get like tremolo and blasts that feel pretty much like suffocation. Like, it kind of goes into like almost a technical vibe, and you do get some like really cool grooves, but it also gallops pretty well. And then you get a couple of breakdowns throughout this song. And one thing that's introduced immediately on this opening track is a new spice in the recipe, and that's dissonance. Like, there's some more dissonance going on with some of these riffs and parts within songs to kind of just make everything sound more uncomfortable than it already does sound. And then, of course, you get some hardcore touches here and there, not only on this track, but even on other tracks like Ritual, Autophagia, and then even some like more punky aspects come in on Felony Abuse of a Corpse and Semi-Automatic Facial Reconstruction. Like, those 2 songs kind of bring in a little bit of like a punky, almost grindcore at times, but not quite grindcore. Just kind of more like hardcore punk, that kind of thing. And speaking of Felony Abuse of a Corpse, this is where some of the tremolos get a little bit darker. You do get some pretty cool triplet chugs and some like angular dissonant riffs. Ritual Autophagia, this is the first of quite a few songs on this album with a guest vocalist. However, I only highlighted 3 of them that I knew about. First, with Ritual Autophagia, you have Todd Jones from Nails doing vocals, which he brings out that hardcore vibe of the track like I talked about before. Hideous Testimony, or Heinous Testimony. I cannot read today, but Heinous Testimony. The dissonant guitars that start this one off feel a little bit more evil. Dare I say, kind of to the level of a band like Immolation. And that's not the last time you get a bit of like an Immolation comparison, but I love how there's a really cool bass groove, which there's also a really nasty bass groove on Erotic Beheading, or as I nicknamed it, Decapitation Erection, or whatever. But with Heinous Testimony, again, like really cool, like blast beats and tremolos to feel very much like old school death metal, but of course the chugs and the grooves and the breakdowns and the pinch harmonics definitely bring out more of that brutal death metal side. Abhorrent Contraception, which is another guest vocal spot, this time from Josh Welshman from Defeated Sanity. This one, mostly a big lumbering groove track, like it's chuggy, dissonant tremolos. But dare I say, when the blast beats come in, you almost get like thrashy riffs. Like, they're a little bit more machine gun driven, and it's just overall gross sounding. Repulsive Demise, kind of an odd song, I'm going to be honest. Like, the riff writing's catchy and groovy and gross, but on top of an electronic beat, kind kind of an interesting choice, even though I don't know if it was necessary for that track, but that's just me. Erotic Beheading, like, more thicker guitars. Like, I would say in terms of what you could call, even though it would be tough to pinpoint the heaviest moment of the album, like, the opening of this track, I think, is where it gets really, really hefty and heavy, and it's a lot more sinister sounding, dare I say, and hell, kind of borders on tech death a little bit. Like, there's some more angular technical guitar work, which is a nice addition. Sanctified Defilement, again, we get more angular guitars and like a huge scream into the blast beats, and like even the triplet chugs here are a little slower, kind of reminded me a little bit of I'm trying to remember the song Catatonia from Suffocation. And I also do like the drum work on this track, like the drummer showcasing a little bit more flair to his ability. Now, my personal favorite track on the album is Semi-Automatic Facial Reconstruction, which is not only an awesome title, but the song itself kind of goes into all different directions. Dissonant opening, very much like Immolation. It gets punky, there's some technical guitars, killer breakdown, but also guest vocals from Travis Ryan from Cattle Decapitation, which this is the second time in a few weeks I've brought up Travis Ryan guest appearing vocals on a track for a band. Talked about him on the Revocation review. And then the closer, Paid in Flesh, the longest track of the album, and I think it's the longest of their career. It's almost 8 minutes. Basically, it's just a good, all-encompassing track of blasts and tremolos that feel a little more evil, killer grooves, sudden shift, although, into like more of like a droning doom metal moment where it's just like open string droning riffs, more of the dissonance comes in, but dare I say at the end, little bit more melody in the guitars. Not saying they're pretty melodies, they're just death metal melodies, and they actually sounded really good, so this would be a close second favorite on the album in my mind. Production-wise, it's thick, it's gross, but the mix is well balanced, like the bass is present, the kick drums are present, the vocals are right where they need to be, the guitars are where they need to be. But as far as any negatives go, I still feel like they kind of hang on to certain aspects a little bit too much, primarily the groove and the breakdowns. I do wish there could be some more faster sections, like more thrashy, more blast beat driven stuff, but that's just a nitpick of mine when it comes to death metal. I want to be able to hear some faster sections to break up the monotony of just one groove and tempo. But overall, this is still a really good album. I think this might be the best one thus far, so I'm going to give this a 4. I actually did enjoy this one a little bit more than I did the last album because of the new wrinkles coming in. So if you like Sanguisugabogg, check this out. This is actually some good stuff. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.